every time you vote. And they have to say it.
Then all the mistakes you made.
I know, Scott free.
I'm gonna request the agenda items. Ooh, I'm excited about this.
Okay, we are the Town of Rochester Town Board motions to exit executive session at 7:42 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next we have, and I have the packet here, I didn't print the whole thing because you guys got it by email. But this is the recommended resolution. Town of Rochester Town Board adopted resolution to advertise a notice of a call for sealed bids for one 2016 Ram 5500 two-wheel drive bucket truck with an Altech AT40G 45-foot lift on January 4th, 2024. Whereas such notice was posted on the town website and on the New York State Contract Reporter and on the Town Clerk Bulletin Board on January 8th, 2024. Such sealed bids were due for receipt on January 19th, 2024 at 1 p.m. Whereas such sealed bids were opened as per the notice on January 19th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. Whereas 3 sealed bids were received, including the required non-collusion signed statement as follows, and all 3 bids meet or exceed the specifications contained in the call for bids. They are a 2016 Dodge Ram 5500 from Utility Auto Sales at $75,000, a 2016 Ford F550 from Altech Nueco at a cost of $76,000, and a 2018 Dodge Ram 5500 from Altech Nueco at a cost of $105,300. Therefore, the Town of Rochester awards such sealed bid to
Utility Auto Sales, Burnville, PA.
At a cost of $75,000, and requests the town supervisor and town highway superintendent commence and offer contract for the acquisition of the vehicle.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay. Now, I just want to give you a quick update on Bridge New York 2024 applications. The ones for the culvert were due last Friday. They were submitted by CP Mail on our behalf. And those go directly to New York State. The ones for the bridge are due tomorrow. We finalized the applications this afternoon, and we got letters of support from the fire district on that as well, and also submitted a letter from supervisor dealing with any easements that would need to be obtained, and that will be submitted on our behalf tomorrow. I am going to be coming back to you guys next Thursday at the meeting to address the seeker. We sent a draft seeker form at this time with the application, but we have to actually adopt a resolution on the seeker. So Mary Lou advises that we do that at the next meeting. And if we do get the application, we do get the award, when we would substitute the resolution.
Okay.
I also wanted to alert you, the highway fund loan from the general fund, we had approved it. We did not have to do it because I got my first payment from the tax collector in January, and I put money directly into the highway, the taxes that were due to the highway. I funded as much of that as I could with that first check. So the loan that we approved became not necessary. I just wanted to let you guys know that. And then next, Mary Lou and Dave Boland. Dave, thanks for joining us. Dave is the chair of our ambulance advisory committee. So wanted to talk about the contracts. We have the 2 contracts, the Rochester ambulance and the High Falls ambulance. For the board members, I did not get this. I think you may have seen this in email, but I did not print this for you last time, so I just wanted to share it with you. This was the Marbletown First Aid Unit's Health of the Organization report that they gave us in December of 23. It was not the year-end report. They apologized. He sent it to us right after Thanksgiving. But that gives essentially a basis.
For Emily.
That's for Aaron. I have Emily's here. Was there an extra one?
No.
Okay. I did not print out the other one because I had given all that to you guys earlier. So, Mary Lou, I'm going to turn it over to you, and then Dave, if you want to add anything, if you guys have any opinions of anything in the existing contract that should be modified other than dollar amounts and potentially dates that we may have to modify, but
Yeah, we had talked about it a few months ago, and I know that Councilman Coleman had some concerns. I myself never got anything from anyone discussing particular changes. I think that he had some concerns regarding reporting, but since that time, or maybe right before, it's my understanding that Mr. Bolin has, I think it was Mr. Bolin that you said, Mike, has provided a template to use for reporting. And I think that perhaps the way to remedy that is just where we ask for reports, say, in accordance with the attached template, and attach Mr. Boland's template.
yeah,
Other
that
than
had been,
that, I
been
think,
established before we talked, but it hadn't occurred, and we did get their expenses. Now I just realized this says 2022, but I believe it's meant to be 2023. But I just realized the header says, Dave, do you have any thoughts on that?
As far as the Marbletown contract, I think that one, they've been compliant all year long to date. It's the Rochester one that was a little concerning just because they've been non-compliant all year long. Even with the template being provided to them at the beginning of the year and meeting with them on numerous occasions. Yes, at the end of the day, they are getting out for their calls. They are meeting the obligations of responding to calls, but the financial side of it has been lacking all year long up until a couple of weeks ago when they consulted with their previous treasurer, and she provided the 2-year reports within a weekend, which kind of paints a picture of their finances throughout the entire year for the past 2 years. But they need to be, as the town board and I think we need to be a little bit more stringent on the contracts with both agencies. But like I said, Marbletown has been pretty compliant throughout the entire year. It's just the Rochester one that was concerning. And hopefully now this year moving forward that they will be more compliant. But I think, it needs to be more stricter coming from the town with the obligations of the contract before the funding is provided to them.
so Dave, can you think of anything in the contract that should be changed, or is it just a matter of us keeping on them and saying, here's what the contract is. You want to continue, you have to comply, and us being a little bit better about enforcing the terms?
Well, I think it has to be enforced, I guess. In this past year, like I said, they did meet the obligations of getting out for their calls, and it was monitored strictly, with the call turnovers and stuff. It was just the finance side of it, not providing the reports. And then the reports that they were providing I wouldn't even call it a report. They were just, numbers that somebody put together, was a little concerning. And I spoke to Mr. Coleman in regards to the contract. Legally, I don't know if there's certain things that can be put in the contract. That's why I spoke to him about it. Moving forward, but like I said, at the end of the day, they are meeting the obligations for responding and providing coverage for the residents of the town of Rochester. But as the town, maybe we need to be a little bit more stringent on the terms of the contract when it comes to the reporting side of it.
Michael, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think, from my perspective, there's no question that, a local based hybrid volunteer paid or all paid ambulance service is a benefit to the town. I mean, clearly, if you look at some of the costs that we would have to go out if we went to a private entity and try to fund it separately, we'd be paying significantly more. You have to deal with a lot of additional overhead expense. And you don't have the benefit of having actual residents who know the area and know the roads. I mean, we were talking with members of the fire district about how difficult it is to find houses sometimes. So I think there's value there. I think we have to balance that with the need to make sure that they are able to respond, and that if they do need help, whether that's financial or other, that there's good communication. So while I don't know legally that we can obligate them to do certain things, I think it's reasonable for us to have an expectation, because they are viewed, even though they're a separate entity, they are viewed as representatives of the town. I don't know that people associate that it's a separate entity from town services. I think it's reasonable for us to see if they would be willing to do some things, at least near term. We know they're in a period of transition, to make this board and the ambulance advisory board feel better about the information they're getting. So two things that come to mind that we could ask them for. In addition to a quarterly report, we could see if they'd be willing to at least have some of their board members come and meet with us and discuss, any concerns, or actually status in person, to give us an opportunity to ask questions and talk through any concerns. I think, and Dave, I don't know how you feel about this. I know that they utilize the I Am Responding app. That's a way of kind of having better awareness of calls that are going out, who's responding, what the response times are. And we could request, could we have an account, and the town could cover any additional expenses related to that. Could we have account for?
There should be no expenses. Sorry to interrupt. There shouldn't be any expenses occurred with that. The county itself actually provides that service for every emergency, EMS and fire agency throughout the county. So the county itself absorbs that cost.
Okay, so really it's a question of, would they authorize us to provide a seat license of that to you or to a board member?
Right. And as far as, and if there's, if there's any concerns with HIPAA or anything, there's no information that's posted within that application that would provide any of that information. It's strictly just the dispatch location of the call and like the units that are responding and so on. I mean, it's not any information that you wouldn't be able to pick up off of a scanner monitoring the channel.
Right. So Dave, I don't know. I mean, do you think those are reasonable asks? Would that make you feel better as the chair of the advisory board?
Yeah, I think having maybe a sit down meeting with them, I don't know about monthly or maybe quarterly or something like that, just to sit down and see, like, if there's anything that we can provide to them, or anything that we feel that they're missing a mark or something like to that nature. Just to build a better rapport with them.
Yeah, I mean, those are two things that I would recommend. I think the other thing we need to
I have a question, and Dave, I'd be interested in your opinion on this. So in looking at the financial report, when I look at their expenditures for the year, they were $159,000. I look at their revenue for the year, it's $429,000. So that's a $375,000 plus, $270,000 plus from more money that they took in. They got actually $221,000 from third-party billing, and I know they have an expense of $23,000 for that billing. But even still, they took in approximately 200,000 on third-party billing, which is more than they spent at all for the year. So we never really got a good budget from them. We got a like 6 or 8 line item budget. And I'm a little concerned that we're giving them $189,000 when they didn't spend a penny of the $175,000 we gave them last year. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be funding them, but I'm just curious, there was this large need presented to us as they were financially strapped, and they made $300,000 profit last year, and
Right, and
that's a little concerning to me.
That was concerning to the advisory committee as well, because throughout the entire year we weren't provided any financials at all as far as their assets, and we were giving them quarterly checks to fund everything, and until up until a couple of weeks ago, when their past treasurer had provided us those reports, we didn't have a clear picture on any of their financials. And it is a little concerning, with the amount of money that is going to be provided to them.
I mean, it's being put in a reserve fund for ambulance, a new ambulance or something. That's understandable, but on paper, it doesn't look like it's doing anything except sitting in a checking account or a savings account.
I mean, if it's a nonprofit organization, they're clearly showing a profit. The other concern is that when they did come to the town board to ask to form this tax district, they carded in their old stretchers and their old AEDs, stating that money for that physical year was going to be used to replace that equipment. It's later on learned that over this last year that those stretchers, the brand new stretchers that they acquired, are either financed or leased now. They didn't use the funds for that, so they allocated those funds for other purposes other than what it was intended for.
Except I'm not seeing that expense anywhere listed in their expenses for last year. I'm looking in there.
Know. Maybe they classified it as something else and put it under a different line item. But I know originally when we received their report for the 2024 budget request, there was a line item specifically in there for, I don't remember if it was for a lease or for a purchase payment. I think, I don't remember if it was for one of 3 years.
I think it was a 4-year lease to own type of thing, which makes sense, paying for it over 4 years. And so you're getting the equipment and you're buying it outright over a 4-year period of time. For the board members, I had a conversation with Mary Lou, our counsel, about this, and we budgeted $189,000 to collect in taxes, which we are in the process of collecting in the month of January, based on an 8% increase of the 175, which was less than what they were originally asking for. What I asked Mary Lou is, can we sign a contract with them for a lesser amount and stipulate to them that if during the course of the year they find a need that the funding is needed, that they could come back for an amendment to the contract for and then what would happen is that funding would stay in the ambulance fund just as fund balance to be applied to next year's taxes. So the taxpayers who are paying for that ambulance, it will still be for the Rochester Ambulance District. It just will not be paid in this year to the ambulance unless there is a demonstrated need for it. And that's my concern of just giving money to raise the savings account. I'm a little concerned with that.
What was the answer?
The answer is, well, do you want to answer, Mary Lou? I don't
Sure,
want to
we can't find anything that says you can't do that. So, I
do that with other districts. So.
Yeah, we don't have to spend all the money all at once.
We don't think so. The lighting district, for example, we estimate the cost of the lighting. If there's money left over, it's rolled over into fund balance, and we've been using the fund balance actually to decrease that tax for the last few years.
But unfortunately, this puts us in a terrible situation because
it is our duty to make decisions based on budgets. And now we find ourselves in a position where that amount was not based on a real budget, and we still don't have a real budget that should justify the taxation, at least to some extent.
I'm
And,
sorry, go ahead.
and now, yeah, we're in this position and it just,
Well, what I'm gonna suggest is that we ask them for a new realistic budget based on this year-end financial situation for next year, or for this year, excuse me, and that we not initiate a contract immediately. They clearly are not in desperate need of the funding. That the end of December, they had a fairly healthy budget. And so once we come to an agreement of contract, it can be retroactive payments. That's what I would suggest, that we reach out to them and say, based on the year-end financial that you provided to us in 2 weeks ago, which we did not have available when we established our budget.
No form of budget like that. What was it, 7
Yeah.
lines?
The 7 lines, 7 or 8 lines were just very generic.
that showed a deficit.
It showed it, yeah.
Yeah, showed a deficit. So now that they have, you know, we can only go by what we've been provided. So what I would recommend, and just my opinion, is that we ask them for a new budget for this year, showing the need and using this information in that budget. And then we establish the rate that we will contract with them for based on that. And that we then, you know, that we say to them, if during the course of the year, you find that there is a need for more funding, come back to us and we amend the contract. We just do a side, you know, in my business, it was called the sides letter. I don't know if that's the legal term, Mary Lou, but you
We'll do
create
an amendment to the contract.
and to say that in payment 3 and 4, we will pay an additional $10,000 or $20,000, or whatever the number may be, for a specific purpose.
And can we put a clause in that, though, that if they fail to report to us when the
Already-
reports,
already in.
no, but specifically for additional funding, if we add that clause that we're willing to amend if something comes up? I'm not willing to give them more money if we don't get reports on a regular basis, like happened all last year. I'm not.
Yeah, and I mean, you
comfortable
don't
with that
even,
any longer.
Charlotte, you don't even have to put the thing about amendment in the contract. Because we can always amend a contract. We just tell them that. Say, here's what you're getting after you get a
Oh, yeah,
a
and
budget that you can work with.
Additional funding, it's not, I was just thinking that there,
right,
So
and then
if
you
someone
can
tried
say,
to argue like, oh, no, you said that we can have it if we request it.
It's item number
So-
9 in the contract.
yeah, you can say, well, we
Dave,
can't,
April, July, October, ambulance will provide.
No, I know for a regular, for
Right.
like, regular payments, I was saying specifically for
Oh, and-
additional monies, if we put that in
Yeah.
a new contract, that it's known that will not,
Yeah, well, we would
we
consider
won't even
that.
tantalize it
Yeah.
unless.
you
we-
would
have-
just not consider it, because if they
Okay,
came to
yeah.
you and said, we
I was
need
just
more
looking-
money, you'd say, we don't have reports. How do we know you need more money?
Now, if they can,
You have to show us.
they can come with us with a proposal to amend the contract, and we don't have to entertain.
Okay.
So if we don't like the proposal, we simply say, no.
And if you haven't been getting reports, the
Okay.
answer is, how can we possibly know you need more money? We don't know
So, Mary
your
Lou,
financial standing.
should we do a resolution to authorize me to request a revised budget based on the,
I don't think you need a resolution for it.
Okay.
I think you can
Okay.
you can request that. You can also talk to them about the quarterly meeting that we had discussed a little earlier. And is that a quarterly meeting with the town board or with the advisory committee?
I just feel.
To me, it's an open question. I trust the advisory committee if they want.
the
to have-
advisory committee and you as the liaison.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would say too.
Then it doesn't have to be advertised as a public meeting for a town board. And
Yeah.
if Michael as the liaison, or whoever the liaison may be, goes with the advisory board, because the advisory board can also meet without advertising.
Right, because they're advisory, they don't have decision making.
Are we saying we're gonna
powers, so
ask
they're
them
not
this?
subject to the open meetings law.
I'm gonna send them, I'm gonna reach out to them and tell them that we are not going to renegotiate a contract until we get it.
No, I mean the thing with meeting with having their board meet like quarterly.
I think we
with
should
our
put that in
advisor.
the contract.
That's why I just wanted to clear, clarify. I wasn't sure if you were saying you would put that while asking for the other.
No, I
funding
think
or-
we should put that in the
That
contract.
should.
And I
That's what
also,
I thought.
I think what you were saying, Mary Lou, about the reporting requirements that can you state that again? Because I do think that we need to specify in more detail
That,
what level we're requiring in
I
the.
think
that was
I
in the
think-
original contract.
Right, but I think I talked about attaching your template, Mr. Bolin, and
okay.
saying that, you know, in using the template, next is, you know, exhibit A or
Yeah.
attachment A or something like that.
I think the language of 9 is pretty good. We just add in the specifics about utilizing the template created by the ambulance advisory board for reporting purposes. And we should do that actually, if we're gonna do it for one, we should.
Right, you should do it for both, absolutely.
And I want to make sure we're all clear on this, because my priority is if a resident calls and is in need of medical attention, that they're getting covered. So we know this negotiation was a problem last year. The amount of money we're talking about is still significantly less than if we went to a private entity. Private entity would not be giving us this level of detail about what their financials are. They would take the check and that would be it. So like.
Well, I mean, according to you, but we can require.
We can
what
require
want
a
in
private
contract.
entity. Yeah, we could require a private entity to give us that financial as well.
Okay, I want everyone to be clear-eyed about what we're proposing.
Keep in mind that, and don't take this the wrong way at all, but EMS is considered a non-essential
Right.
service to any township. So, I mean, and I don't take this as me coming off bitter or anything, but like I said, at the end of the day, it's a non-essential service that the town doesn't have to provide.
Right, except that now we've created the ambulance district, so we've taken that on. But yeah, that's, I said that many times when we were looking at this. I just kept reminding the board, remember, it's a, you know, good thing to do to make sure your town residents are provided for in this area, but it certainly isn't required.
So to sort of wrap up this discussion, because I feel like we've already sort of answered. I'm gonna work with Mary Lou between now and next Thursday to get a new contract for Marbletown to present to Marbletown. I'll bring that to us next Thursday for resolution and vote. I'm going to reach out to KFAS and say, we would like to initiate new contract discussions with you, but we feel we need a more defined budget than what we received during the budget review process. And you know, reference the year-end financial report that they provided to us, which shows a significant profit for the year.
I mean, I want to be clear, every time we contract and we enter into agreements all the time where we could request from any company that they send us a profit and loss statement. And if we contracted with a for-profit agency that at the end of the year, it turned out all of the taxpayer money we gave them was profit, I would not want to continue doing business with that company. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
In this case, I think we have a duty to protect.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
We would
Absolutely.
require that of any agency. Maybe they pay salaries that are higher than our volunteers, and like we would have we'd be definitely dealing with different numbers, but we would still have a responsibility.
To clarify, that's when you're contracting for services,
Yeah.
which we're doing here. If we're buying goods, we're not asking how much profit they're
No,
making. There's a price, we know what we're getting for that price. With services, there's varying levels of what that
Yeah, we
service
get
can
salary
be.
and I mean, we
Yeah.
can.
But I think in services, it's especially, I mean, when you have a special district and you're taxing the properties within that district, it's, you know, extra important that you know where that money's going and make sure you're not taxing higher than needed. And yeah, if they're not using it, cut it, and then you can cut those taxes next year for the district.
And when we were funding every year, the 22,000, that was essentially almost the equivalent of a donation, although when I
Right,
came,
there
was
were
not a
something.
contract previously. You know, in 2018, Mary Lou and I started that process of saying, yes, we have to have a contract to give you that money. We can't just give you the money, but the contract was essentially to aid in their providing the services as a not-for-profit. But now that we've created a taxing district and that number has increased by 800% from, or 900, almost 900% now from what it was back then, it's a big difference. So, okay, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, because it's disconcerting to me that if we're paying money for services that really the money is not needed. So
I mean, it might be.
it might be.
We need
We
to
just need
show it.
we need to know why, you know, why there's such a large amount in the savings account at the end of the year.
Right, and maybe it's
Or
put away
apparent.
for some particular thing they're
Right.
gonna buy this year.
I mean, I don't know if there's more bank accounts or not. We're only seeing the results of 2 bank accounts, according to what the report said, the savings account and the checking account. That may be all they have, but I don't
That
know.
probably is what they have, yeah.
Okay, Dave, thank you. Don't feel the need to stay on. Appreciate you zooming in.
But you can if there's nothing good on TV tonight.
Do you, if I can take it out of order, I'd like to just jump to the cannabis, because then Mary Lou probably doesn't need to stay with us for the subdivision discussion. And so if we can do the cannabis and then the security contract next. So the cannabis, I just wanted to know that based on the comments we received, and here's a copy of the current local law as it is now. You guys tell me if we want to make any changes, we can't vote on it next Thursday. If we leave it as is, and that shouldn't be the defining reason. And also, I don't think I had given this to you before. This is the referral response from the county planning board, which is no county impact. And you did get the response from the local planning board, which did recommend some changes. So do you want to talk through those tonight and see if we want to accept any of those, or do we want to, what's the board feel? And like I said, I didn't print new copies of those because I had given those. So I could walk you through them. So the first, there were some changes in the text. They wanted to change the registered organization with dispensing, the ROD. They wanted to add the word facilities. But Mary Lou, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the ROD was the language in state law, correct?
Yeah, it is, but we do have facilities in there, but there was a period in between. I thought that's what they were saying was the typo. And I'm sorry, I don't have the planning board comments in front of me.
Oh, okay.
But in 3 and 4, I think they
So
were saying.
it says, see my comments in blue. Now, this was just from one, this was not from the planning board. This was from one planning board member.
Okay.
Who sent it direct. So it says, see my comments in blue that are related to the text in red. So the purpose, it says, facilities in appropriate places is in red, but there's no blue comment. Oh, here it is. What are the last sentences in the above subparagraphs trying to convey? Shouldn't in subparagraph C1, the last sentence say, registered organization with dispensing facilities in appropriate places, and similarly, the last sentence is C2 and C3.
Right, and that's what they say, except there were periods placed in there somehow. If you take them out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So it's just punctuation errors. And we can correct those.
You see, at C, after it says ROD in parentheses,
Yes,
it says facilities. It says ROD parentheses, period, facilities, period, in appropriate places. It
So-
looks like some periods,
so
just
those
needs
two
to be taken
periods
out.
should be removed.
right, and then
Okay,
same thing in subsection 2 and in subsection 3. For some
Yeah,
reason,
yeah.
there were periods
and
around the
now that
word
I see his
facility.
comment, he's saying that those
Yeah.
should be removed.
Yeah,
they're
and
also
that's no
saying
problem.
They're saying the word facility should be lowercase. Is that correct, Mary
It
Lou?
does, I don't think it matters in one.
Okay, so that's an easy fix. We'll just correct.
Yeah, that's just a typo
Um,
correction. Yep.
So that was that one. There was another one. Where's the distance of 500 feet coming from? It doesn't appear to be too far from children use facilities. Why not 750 or 1,000 feet?
I think the 500 was that coming from state or,
No, it was also from state law. It's the 500. We could go higher, but we can't go lower. But I also, I sort of believe that the 500 feet, remember, it's only B and AB3 properties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
I
think
think it's fine.
500 is appropriate. Okay, so those were those comments.
It's B, AB3 and I.
Right, and I.
Oh, and I,
Yeah,
yes,
yes, and I.
all of I.
Where everything happens.
So, and then the comments from the local planning board, they're saying revise section H1 and 2 to reflect any 12 consecutive hours of operation within a given day. This removes the hours slated as operational and gives the owner the ability to open any 12 hours of their choice. I don't think we really want that.
State law doesn't allow any 12 hours. There are certain times I think they can't open before 8 and they have to be closed at either 2 or 4, depending which kind it is.
I
So-
thought the state didn't control the hours, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, they did in the regulations.
Okay,
They absolutely did. You have to let them be open at least 70 hours a week.
okay.
But there's, just like with like the county regulating how long a bar can be open, right? You can be open till 4 o'clock
And
here, but some places it's 2.
we did respond to the comments we got on the first public hearing by lessening the hours, and we heard a thank you for that at the second.
Okay.
Then the next is remove section 2, number 1 altogether and remove the definition that goes with it. Which is section 2, number 1.
Facilities.
Oh. I don't think we can do that.
Yeah, we have to allow them.
Yeah. And revise section F number 4 to reflect 1,000-foot radius. We already said.
Is that the section that I mean when you say section? Are they
I don't
talking
know what
about?
he's talking about. It says section 2, number 1, but there is no section 2.
On the last page.
Right, on the last page, there's
Oh,
section
I
2,
got it.
number 1.
Oh,
Yeah,
can't-
but we
he
can't
didn't
do
opt
that.
out of it.
I know, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
they want, that, it sounds like that's what they.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me too, Aaron.
We
And what
can't-
was the other one?
We did not.
F. What
The
was the
rate.
other comment, Mike?
The other one was about the 1,000-foot, similar to the other.
Oh, okay, all right.
So based on that, I will make the punctuation corrections and bring this back to the board. Mary Lou, punctuation corrections like that, they don't.
That's
need
not
it.
substantial. You're okay. You're okay to
So I'll
pass it
make
next
those
week.
corrections. This will be on next Thursday's agenda to do seeker and adopt it or not adopt it, as the case may be. But it will be on the next week's agenda.
Can I just ask, what, I was like looking at another part of the law, the allowable hours of operation. Where is there any 12 hours? I'm just confused.
They were saying we can
That's what they
change
want.
it to any.
They were
12
saying
hours
change it
of-
to any 12 hours.
8 or 9 or whatever 12 hours they want. But that defeats the purpose of us putting 32 hours.
Yeah, and we did that on purpose. And then I just wanted to make sure that on the on-site consumption facility, we're saying their business can operate between 9 AM and midnight.
Correct.
Okay.
That's what,
Yep.
that's what H1 says.
That's what it says, I just, when we were talking about having it closed earlier, I just wanted to make sure that.
No, we did, we
We just did
discussed
that for
that
the,
before this,
The
yeah.
store.
We made, originally, that was we had said in the first version was to follow the
Yeah.
liquor at 4
Yeah.
AM and we moved it to midnight.
I think we had two.
We had two, correct, you're right, we
Yep.
did.
Yeah,
And then
because
the other,
one
I
of the
think we
things
had
is
at
to-
midnight. So we responded to the public comments. Okay,
I know, I agree.
so then Mary Lou, do you want to just update the board? So Mary Lou and I have been talking with the security consultant, that we awarded the bid to, or the quote.
We're set. They've made all the changes that I
They made-
requested. There was one, they weren't sure how to phrase it, so I wrote the paragraph. And
And I'm gonna
we're
bring
good
that,
to go so far as I'm concerned. Everything's good.
we just got to finalize today, yesterday, today, I guess,
Yesterday,
yesterday.
yesterday.
I'll be bringing you next Thursday a contract proposal for you to approve.
Yeah, and you guys got my comments to them. That's all it is
Yep.
is they made those changes that I had put to you back in December, I think.
So I'd given you that original contract, and Mary Lou had some comments, I sent that to him, and then I just had Mary Lou and the security consultant talk, so I didn't need to be the middleman on it. They came to an agreement yesterday, and now we have a final version. I just want to keep you guys in the loop, because it seems, it's taken a long time to get here, but we will have that contract. I think that's it, Mary Lou, that's all we need you for at the moment, unless you want to stay for any of the subdivision.
I'm gonna give that a pass. If you
Okay.
feel there's something that I need to see, I can go watch it on
And
YouTube.
Mary Lou, I wanted to say sorry for the loss of your pet, your dog.
Thank you. And Mike, do you remember when I talked to you on the phone and that one day and I said I was up all night with my dog?
Oh, absolutely, I remember.
It's the other dog.
Oh,
It was the other dog.
oh, well, I just, yeah, oh.
Yeah,
I'm
I knew you
sorry.
would. That dog's fine. The other one just started acting really weird and lethargic, and stomach was distended, and he had internal bleeding
Oh,
out of
That's-
nowhere. Was
that's-
fine at lunchtime.
that's what happened to my dog a few years back too, the exact same thing.
Oh, just
Yeah.
what
So-
are you gonna do? We had him for 11 years, and that was wonderful. So what can you do? Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.
I didn't know if you'd have him with you or not. I know. We get the iPad, we don't have to do this.
My orders.
Well, I held off because I wanted to make sure you guys were gonna actually be okay with.
Oh,
So
okay.
I held off on them. And now, this you don't have, I emailed this to you, but this is the latest where we stand as of this moment. So I just wanted to tell you, the things that we went through already, Dave Church's comments and the local planning board's comments, those are all in green. What I did is Dave Church had made a comment in there that we use the words parcel, lot, and tract interchangeably. He said, make them all be lot, L-O-T. So I did a word search, and everywhere the word parcel or tract was, I made it lot. Some places we said a parcel or lot. So as you look through, the green changes are those changes. I also did the change we talked about last meeting of getting rid of the re-subdivision concept, which Dave said is archaic and not really put to practice anymore. And then the planning board had made a comment about the not natural subdivision, I'm sorry, lot line adjustments. We didn't accept one, it's 12518 is the section. We didn't accept one, but we did accept the other. It's on page, oh, they don't have page numbers. It's item 12518A, E and F. So saying a lot improvement may not result in any non-conforming lot being made less conforming. So you can't take a non-conforming lot and take away from it and make it less. You can make it more, you don't have to make it conforming. And then you can't take a conforming lot and make it non-conforming. So that's what the E and F are saying. So those changes, so the only thing left that we need to review, because we didn't have any public comments on subdivision, is the county planning board's comments. And I have one thing that I wanted to add to the discussion that came up recently during our zoning discussions with one resident that I was talking about. I can do that first if you want. So while we're in natural subdivision, if you look at letter B, you say lots qualify as a natural subdivision have to be separated by an existing town, county, or state highway. Back when we were first talking about this, we also had talked about streams. And where it came up is there was a resident who, one of the things we were zoning to a PL10 was asking me, well, a stream cuts my lot in half already. And we were just starting having that conversation. And I was thinking that the code, because it was discussed at one time that streams could also create a natural subdivision. So I wanted to see what you guys thought about adding that as well as roadways. The road is an obvious one. If there's a town road and one parcel is both sides of the road, if you want to subdivide it, you can. But a stream kind of does the same thing. We would have to define the stream so it wasn't just like a drainage ditch.
Yeah, and also all the other rules would need to apply, because like you wouldn't want it to be a parcel that could never be accessed because you can't.
No, it would still have to follow the other rules of natural subdivision.
We could do it as a main stream.
Yeah, well, we could do named or tributary toward, I wouldn't want to just say like a named stream on the GIS, because not every stream is actually named. There are some that are just unnamed waterways, but they're actually tributaries into another stream. I just want to get, we don't have to decide right now, but I wanted to just bounce it off to you because in this conversation was with somebody who owns where the what's the stream at Depot? Peterskill. The Peterskill. And I think we would maybe need to say that the stream would have to cross parallel. No, maybe not parallel, because it could come in and then divert itself. But
You would need to
bisect two boundary lines. So you don't just have a stream that comes in and dies, or a stream that,
Right, if it ends in a pond or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea to use that.
And I'll be honest, I thought it was already, when I was talking to the person, I thought it was already in there. And then when I went back and looked, I was like, oh, it's not in there. I thought it was. Because I know when we originally did the code back in 2009, we talked about it. For some reason, it didn't end up. I don't remember why. So I just wanted to see what you thought about it. There's no particular, it didn't really matter, because this person said they didn't think they would do it anyway, because what that led to a conversation about access. And they would eventually have to build a bridge over the waterway and go to the DEC for it anyway. But not every waterway is in that situation.
I mean, I have something on my property that's like.
You could have a lot that has
stream.
You could have a lot that has access from 2 points with a stream dividing it, and potentially it could be a natural subdivision.
It would have to be named by like an authority, like the federal or state.
I know what you apply for that.
What's that?
I was saying, how hard is it to get a stream named? Like,
It's actually really.
or like what are the parameters to it? Because then we should just, like, if there's a certain like width or depth of it, we should just mimic that in here to define stream for it. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
yeah,
we
because the
could
town
mimic
board
the same
sponsored
measurement.
one time a renaming of a
Yeah.
stream, and that took 2 years.
It's still confusing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. We're gonna have to be careful about how we
Okay.
define what.
So let me, and I'm just trying to get feedback. Let me try to work on how to define that, and I'll bring you an example and we'll look at it. I just wanted, if you guys said, no, we don't want to do it, then I wasn't gonna bother. But if you think it's worth looking into, I'll try to find language to make it work and go from there. So,
So the one thing I want to point out though is it says lot improvements and natural subdivisions shall be exempt from the requirements contained herein, including public hearings. There is no, so lot shall, I guess, improve. I just want to make sure that we don't set up a situation where the planning board could approve something that doesn't have proper access. Cause
well, we can always add that in there.
because it's like building suitability, setbacks. I just want to make sure that we're not creating a lot.
Yeah, well, we can, you know what, we can also change the word herein to be, herein means in the entire code.
Yeah, it's exempt from the entire. And it only has to follow what we have here to make it easy.
But to qualify as lot improvements, they have to do those things.
Yeah.
So they have to comply with setback and other building standards. We could add a letter G, since we've had the E and F, to say must have access.
Yeah.
Must have access from my public or private road. Or it may not be a landlocked parcel or
Yeah,
something.
that's
like
all
that.
I just want to add that just because it just brings up that
Yep.
concern.
Okay, I'll make a note of that we're gonna add G. I'll just put not landlocked, and I'll work with Mary Lou to get the language of what it should say. Cause you can have a landlocked parcel if you have an easement
Mhm.
over
Yeah,
another
and you
road.
could put, but within the case of a stream, you can't necessarily build a bridge over it.
Yeah. Well, you can if you get DEC.
If you get DEC, yeah, but you'd have to know that.
You'd have to get that before.
sub- Yeah.
So that's why, you know what, let's not say not landlocked, because a landlocked,
Yeah,
Yeah.
They'll not create a landlocked.
well, no,
no, it just should say shall have access from a public or private road.
yeah. Shall have the ability.
Not have the ability to say.
Yeah, I think it should, shall have access.
I think we can massage the wording some more once we get this straight.
I'll run it by Mary Lou and get hers. Okay. And then, I'm just gonna make a note for B, stream, and we'll define it. It won't say stream, it'll say whatever it needs to say. Then with that, the county planning board is only recommendations, they're advisory comments. So we can ignore them all if we choose to.
We went through.
We didn't go through these. We went through the local, but we never went through these that I remember.
Really, I thought we had
We
done.
definitely went through the prime farm.
We
We
did?
definitely, yeah, I know we did.
And we
the
decided
private
not to
farm.
accept that.
Yeah,
I don't remember the.
sidewalk one we didn't get
Yeah,
to.
that's.
Did we do the sustainability?
I think so.
I think so, yeah, I think we stopped at prime farm.
Okay,
We got
so
something
the
weird there.
sustainability was also a no? I don't remember, I'm sorry. This is, you know what, though, this is subdivision.
I think
You
we
don't have to
decided-
build a home on a subdivision.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
decided that this was not
It's
part.
more zoning.
I think that's what we decided because they talked about using green infrastructure techniques for stormwater.
Yeah. Okay,
And I think we put something in there about green stormwater.
In zoning.
I remember we talked about this
I
at
think
length, but
you're
I don't
right.
remember what we did.
yeah.
I think you're right, that it was.
Because it's infrastructure and subdivision isn't about infrastructure. Subdivision is just taking a piece of land and splitting it into pieces.
Yes,
Yeah, I
we
think that's
put
what-
all of this stuff in
So-
our standards.
Okay. Okay, so then all that's left is sidewalks, and the question is, you know, they've often given us this comment, and we could put in sidewalk standards as if the planning board determines that there's a need for them. Problem is, you don't want sidewalks in a subdivision on a rural road where there's no, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think that, I don't think that's.
And I also think
warranted. We
sidewalks are
have
not part of
one
subdivision.
sidewalk in this entire town. So I don't think we need to be worried about having people connect to.
Well, if there's, you know, if they're near schools, that's another story, and I do understand that, you know, if you build one, it'll lead to two, and then three, and then four, but I just think the planning board already can ask for sidewalks in a design of a property.
Yeah, yeah.
Subdivision, I don't think it involves sidewalks, I think that's solely.
Yeah, I think
So I don't
all.
like it requiring lights.
What?
I don't like requiring lights in subdivision.
Well,
No, I don't think we do.
I don't think we specifically
No, we
did.
have a light.
We wrote a lighting section if there's lights proposed, but I don't think we mandated.
Yeah, I don't know.
but-
Yeah. No, yeah, this,
I agree with
to me, this all seems,
They want sidewalks, they can put in sidewalks.
But that's what they're saying. They're saying do it in a similar way,
They're saying have standards,
like offer guidance.
but I would rather put those standards in zoning if we're gonna
I
add
mean,
sidewalk
it's in the wrong
standards.
section that
Yeah.
they're giving us these comments. I think they're probably higher than.
So, yeah, the street lighting, we say residential developments where lot sizes average less than 20, half acre of street lighting, the planning board may require as follows. And where they could require them. But that's only in residential applications of small lots, half acres or less.
Because
So
once
you're
that
creating a neighborhood feel.
goes through, there's no other further view of sidewalks or lighting.
Subdivision.
Yeah. It's not like, because then you're just getting building permits.
Right.
So like, this is the,
Oh, good point. If it's a residential, you know what though? Yeah, if it's a residential subdivision, we don't have standards.
Right.
Should we do similar to the way we did lighting? And say where the lot size is half acre or less? It's 125/30. So we're saying if the lot size is average less than a half acre. Which is only really allowed in the Hamlet area anyway,
with water and sewer.
with water and sewer.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't have.
Yeah.
Sidewalks already there.
Or I guess in an R1, you could do that in other zones if you had like a conservation
Yeah,
subdivision.
yeah.
With water and
Well,
sewer.
a lot average though,
Yeah.
because if you.
Oh, you're right.
Conservation subdivision, your average would never be under a half an acre.
Right, because you.
Cause if you had 5 lots at a half acre and your 6th lot was 50
Yeah,
acres, your
yeah.
average.
No, you're right.
We didn't say median, we said average.
I don't think so.
I'm anti-sidewalk.
I think if it's a business and or
But so many people die. getting hit by
how
cars.
about we consider this, we put it in major subdivision only. Which is 4 lots or greater,
Just standards or?
the
required?
standards. But we just put the standards in for major subdivisions.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're gonna put standards in, put them in across the board, but, because we're not.
Well, but
mandating,
minor's only 4 lots.
But we're not mandating. But if they do decide to do it, we don't want like 20-foot wide sidewalks, we may want 5-foot wide.
These are guidelines too. Oh,
Oh, there's guidelines.
those are guidelines. It says, similar to how the draft law handles lighting requirements for subdivisions, recommends the town look at pedestrian access as follows.
Power to require sidewalks for lot subdivision.
And
that's what we would be doing if we did. I like Mike's idea of requiring.
Not have it in there?
No,
That would
requiring
give
for
them the power.
major.
No, but not having.
Only allowing them to maybe require it for major. Cause right, the way, the street lighting, the planning board may require. So I'm just saying, for sidewalks.
Right.
They may require sidewalks.
And the advisory comment is, it says similar to how we do the lighting, so we make the same standard. How about if we say we use that same standard if the average is less than half an acre, or if it's a major subdivision?
I don't like sidewalks, but I don't feel strongly enough that I would not put it in, so.
Well, within the last 2 weeks, there were 2 people killed walking along the road.
Yeah, I mean,
one was in New Paltz where there's a lot of sidewalks.
I understood. Not where it happened, though. There's no sidewalks where it happened.
We're supposed to be making our town more walkable.
Okay,
Repeat the rail.
so let me take their comments. We're not gonna decide at next meeting anyway. Let me take their comments. I'll work it in. It'll be just another draft for you guys to look at.
I don't understand.
Okay.
more impermeable.
Anything else? There's new ways around that. We just talked about that, the trails committee.
Yeah, you don't have to have concrete sidewalks.
There's actually, you can now use hemp material, in pavement that is permeable and
We can grow our own
sidewalks.
sidewalks
Yeah,
with all of our
yeah.
new cannabis facilities. I like it, only cannabis.
Okay, so I'll work something in with the draft. Were there any other changes that you guys feel strongly about? I'm gonna revise that. We're not gonna adopt it, or we can't adopt it at any time, but we're trying to take effect what the zoning does anyway. I just kind of wanted to get that out of the way. So leading into that, now we've had those 3 special meetings. What do we want to do about next time to talk about it? I don't think next meeting, the regular meeting, is good because we have 2 people coming to talk to us. One is Dennis Doyle is coming to talk to us about a communications tower the county would like to put on town property. And the second is Ted Fink is coming to talk to us about the, what's the term?
The tax thing.
Yeah, I know, my brain just went away there for a moment, but
Tax thing.
The
Right. I don't want to get so strange.
yeah,
community
community preservation.
preservation fund.
So that's gonna be 2 things plus our regular meeting is already. You're not gonna be at the meeting on the 8th, right?
Right, I'm not coming to our workshop.
And I definitely, so do we wanna work at our February audit meeting before, or do we wanna do a Saturday to work on the maps? What do we wanna do? And I'm open with it. We wanna pick another night. I know nights get tough. Trying to get the space is tough, and
I think we should table this till next week when Emily's here, because we don't know, like, we know all of ours from doing these the past year and a half,
Yep.
2 years, but we don't really know Emily's schedule, so
Fair
I think we
enough.
should wait until she's here to join the conversation
Yep.
on that.
we'll put that to session next Monday.
Just because
Or
she
next-
also, I think that she should be in, even though I know she didn't go through these deep review changes like we did, just to get her privy to some of them too, so that she can go through with us, I think.
Yep. Okay. Fair enough. And I have a couple ideas that popped into my head based on some of the comments of some like wholesale changes we can make that may solve some of our problems, but I'll wait until she's here and give them to you. Okay, the next, I just put this in as a placeholder if we wanted to do it. You did get the memo back from Mr. Richardson. Do we want to talk about it tonight? And then the second part is, do we want to talk about the interviews that we had? Or we can, so the way with multiple people up for consideration for the position, it will be blank on the agenda. Somebody will make a nomination. If there's multiple nominations, then we will take a vote of the people until we get to a majority. You know, if we end up with 3 names and we have a, 2, 2, and 1, we'll have to just redo the vote. That's the way it's supposed to be done. We've always just inserted a name, but when it's only one candidate, it's easy to insert. When it's multiple people, we're supposed to have the vote in, or we could discuss it in executive session, come to an agreement of what we want to do, and then I'll put that on the agenda. So it's however you want to handle it. We don't have to do the executive session. We can just wait and discuss it in public. Or vote in public, not discuss, but vote. It's your call. We got probably an hour's worth of bills.
I think we should discuss the
Okay.
appointment at
Okay.
least.
I'm fine with that. So then somebody wants to make a
I'll make a
motion.
motion to enter.
Can we pay the bills and then do the executive session?
We can. We can.
Cause
And
we're gonna cut the stream, or we're gonna give us a stream.
No, we're gonna cut the stream at the bills, which is why I was gonna do it now, because then we make the motion to go to executive session, then we cut the stream, and
Okay, that's
then we just come out back into. When we come out, the only business we're gonna take care of is payments.
That's
So at 8:47 PM. So Town of Rochester Town Board motions to enter into executive session for the purposes of discussion regarding the appointment of particular town employees and volunteer board members. Do I have that motion?
I'll make that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, so for the public, we'll be stopping our stream, going into executive session. When we are done, we are going to be auditing the bills. So we will not be streaming again unless there is a resolution being made, in which case we will start streaming. Thank you very much.